Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name's Trevor. Really grateful to have you here. And today's video is going to be a top 10 list of my favorite picks for this past month of June 2023. I like to do these monthly videos at the beginning of the month, but for June I was kind of testing some things out and finding a proper top 10 list. So just want to do a summary and catch up of what I wore the most, or at least got some of the most enjoyment out of this month, since it was a little bit of an awkward June for us, since here in the Midwest we had that Canadian fire smoke coming in. I think yesterday or 2 days ago we actually had the worst air quality in the world, the Chicagoland area. So I was kind of reaching for some things that were not quite in line with typical Junes throughout this month, like Toy Boy I grabbed one day, which I consider more of an autumn or early spring scent. But without further ado, I'm going to get right into the list here, starting off in no particular order. I'm just going to go review these 10 here. You'll see there's a theme of 4 major fragrance accords, though. We've got musk, citrus, fig, and vetiver are going to be some of the main accords and notes that really wrap up the majority of this list here. So number 1 was my scent of the day today, and that is Wulong Cha from Nishane. So this is a really nice, it's got a tea note in here, but it's not your typical relaxing green tea note. This is an oolong tea, and I kind of get a little bit of a medicinal green quality from this one. It's like a little bit of a bitter quality. There's also some fig in this as well, which kind of sweetens it up ever so slightly, and then some really beautiful citrus. I get about typical performance with a freshie, about 4 to 5 hour range on this one. Really amazing stuff. Super glad I picked it up. It just has that fig and oolong tea that gives it this sweetness with this medicinal kind of green quality. There's a little bit of a creaminess too. Maybe that's from the fig. It almost comes together to give it this type of lactonic or milky type of creaminess, I would say. Just very refreshing, but not in any way suffocating. It's perfect for high humidity weather like I had here today. Definitely worth checking out, and you can usually find these 50 ml bottles for under $100 when they're going on sale on Joma Shop and stuff like that. So definitely one of my favorites this month in June. Next up we have Saint Julep from Imaginary Authors. Really beautiful mint, sugar, clementine I think is a citrus note in here, and then there's like a little bit of a whiskey. It's kind of like a mint mojito fragrance. I think I wore this one Thursday or something this week. Really elegant stuff. It's got a little bit of a dusty texture, which is pretty par for the course for Imaginary Authors fragrances. I feel like all of them have this kind of dusty book textural feel to their composition. I don't know if that's intentional, since they are kind of, their whole shtick is that these are like little books. Imaginary Authors, hence like each of these fragrances is based on an imaginary book. So Saint Julep, yeah, it's kind of like a mint mojito, very refreshing, kind of sweet, but also in the most brisk way. Like it's not sweet like a wintertime fragrance, although I think this is great for transitioning from winter into spring. I think the green kind of quality that it has shines its brightest in the month of June. So that is Saint Julep. Also, you can get these 50 mLs for under $100. I think they usually have coupon codes you can search for online for Imaginary Authors to bring the price down to like 80 as well. Definitely worth checking this one out. One of my favorite kind of refreshing citrusy style fragrances. Very unique take on a citrus fragrance. Alright, next up, I've spoken about this one quite a bit on the channel. It definitely is quickly rising the ranks as one of my favorite grabs, especially during this kind of spring to summer transition that we have in June here, and that is Versace's Versense. Kind of like a more floral and green take on Versace's Mano Fresh. Basically the same DNA. This was marketed towards women, so it basically is Mano Fresh with an added floral note, and then there's also a unique olive tree note in here that to me kind of comes off as slightly woody but also slightly oily. I don't know if that's just me projecting the olive oil sort of vibe onto that note accord, But yeah, there's just slight woody, floral, green, and a little bit of an oily composition over the top of the Versace Mano Fresh DNA. This was also perfumed by Alberto Morillas, whereas Mano Fresh was perfumed by, I believe, Olivier Cresp. And then you also get this DNA in Star Walker, which I believe is a Michelle Almerac composition. This is my favorite out of those three, though. And kind of like a hidden gem just because it's marketed towards women, and caught me by surprise. I only bought it because I saw it out at Marshall's for $39.99, and that was a good price. Usually the full presentations of these go for around $50, so to get it in that cheapy range of under $40 was something that caught my eye when I was out shopping, so I picked it up, and really glad that I did. That's Versace's Versense. Okay, Versace Versense also has a fig note in there as well. So yeah, that fig's probably the most prominent note in this top 10 list here. Next, I've got a Vetiver fragrance. That's Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver. I think I put this in my top 10 list for April because it's something I like to wear in the rainy day season, but the citruses in here come off and shine a lot better in more high heat. So I was wearing this quite a bit in the month of June, put a little bit of a dent in there. What I get with this one though is kind of like a bright, refreshing chlorine kind of smell. Not very chemical-like, but just something that I would smell at like a very well-kept 5-star hotel in the free public pool area is kind of like what this reminds me of. And then it has that creamy, soapy vetiver in the dry down. Just excellent stuff, super high quality as Tom Ford usually is. Not my favorite vetiver, which is coming up in this list, but probably the easiest, one of the more easy to wear and mass appealing vetivers that I've got. So that's Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver. Okay, another fig fragrance. This one I believe has been recently discontinued because it's hard to find. You don't see it at the rack stores anymore. I don't think they really have it at discounters, which is one of the reasons I wanted to mention it, just because if you haven't gotten it, I would highly suggest you do. That is Sean John's 3 AM. Might be the most complimented fragrance on this list, to be honest. And then also, of course, the Atomizer, which is kind of like a fire hose. I feel like Diddy should just try to figure out a way to market these atomizers to fragrance companies and sell them. I think he could, you know, do something with that. The fragrance community really needs these atomizers on every fragrance. But yeah, really nice, fun, kind of gin and tonic, fig, and leather is what you get here. Really unique composition, and definitely portrays what it's trying to do with the marketing, in the sense that 3 AM, this just smells like having some kind of almost illicit fun at those wee hours of the morning. Really great stuff, and used to be cheap, but I think you can kind of hunt these down on Mercari and eBay right now for like the $50 range. It's probably a little bit overpriced, but honestly, I think worth picking up at that price still, because like I said, it's a highly mass appealing, compliment factor, easy to wear, and something I'm super glad that I have in my collection. That's Sean John 3 AM. Okay, let's see here. Timeless classic, Eau Sauvage EDT. This one, so I've got the Cologne and the Eau de Parfum. I think this one is the best for June, just because it has that oak moss, or at least this version of it has oak moss. This is before they banned oak moss. IFRA did, and so this is like a, I don't know what the current formulation smells like, but the added green touches in this one, I think, complement the month of June, just because it's the month where we transition from spring to summer. Beautiful citrus, and just like that mossy quality to it. Yeah, just super timeless classic, and one of my favorite citrus aromatics to wear. As we're moving into July is like when I like to reach for my citrus aquatics, but as far as citrus aromatics go, this is probably one of, if not my favorite in that genre. That is Eau Sauvage EDT. Okay, I think only a few left here. This one is probably my least favorite in the list so far, but still I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of wearing it. Performance on my skin isn't the greatest. I get about 3 hours, but I'm hoping maybe Some maceration might do something to that. Either way, the 3 hours is fine with me because it's kind of a freshie, and as far as, you know, I always carry either like a bottle or a decant on me, so I don't mind respraying, and I know that this has better performance on other people's skin, so worth checking out. That is Terre d'Hermes Eau Givree. Now this, I feel, straddles the line in the same scent profile as Roja's Elysium Parfum Cologne, just because it's kind of like a citrusy juniper berry sort of thing going on. I also feel like this and Elysium also smell like Bentley Silver, or not Bentley, Mercedes-Benz Silver, which is kind of a, I don't think there's any juniper berry in there. I think there's like maybe rhubarb and vetiver, but they all kind of hit on the same scent profile for me, and also about the same longevity, and they have 3 distinct sort of price points. This is the middle one, which is why I featured it in the list, but all 3 of them are great picks for the month of June in my opinion. And then, like I said, you know, so you get some like a very cooling juniper berry in here, a really nice citron citrus, and then it dries down into that classical Terre d'Hermes kind of powdery, woody vetiver scent profile. Really glad that I did pick this up, although I think it's still kind of up there in price point because it's a new release and it's got a lot of hype. I did see a tester of this on Joma Shop come down to like the $75 range. Would have been much more happy to pay that amount. I did buy this for right around like 100, I think like 94 or something like that. Not upset at that price, but when I saw the tester going for that low, I felt like it was much more fair value at that, just because you can get the original EDT for like 60 bucks, and you know, so hopefully this price in this will come down. But yeah, really great pick for June 2023 for me. Okay, I think we have 2 left. Getting on the note of vetiver, I mentioned during when I was talking about Tom Ford's Gray Vetiver that it wasn't my favorite. This is my favorite vetiver in my collection currently. This is Guerlain's Vetiver. Probably more iconic, or the most iconic vetiver fragrance. It's probably been around the longest. What I like about this one is it has this added depth to it. There's, I think, myrrh and tobacco in here. This one is really great in, you know, the bright sort of grassy. There's a bright grassiness to it from the vetiver and like some citrus notes in here, but then that depth from the myrrh and the tobacco gives it a little bit of a creamy texture and makes it wearable in a versatile set of situations. Like I can easily wear this when it gets a little bit cooler out if the temperature does drop. This was a great one to wear in that smoky environment that we had from the Canada fires. You know, the tobacco in there kind of lend itself to harmonize with that somewhat. But yeah, Guerlain's Vetiver, my favorite vetiver in my collection right now, and a great wear for the month of June. And finally, last but not least, a little bit overpriced in my opinion, but probably, yeah, I don't know, it'd be hard to say, but this would be in the running for if I had to only keep one of these. Probably like this, Guerlain's Vetiver, and Eau Sauvage EDT. Oh, actually, I think I have one more fragrance to mention after this one, but this is Bal de Freak. So this is, I think, vetiver dominant. You get a nice, clean, fresh laundry vibe from the vetiver in here, and then there's a beautiful, beautiful citrus. Like I think Banana Republic 90 Pure White is cloning this more or less. They do have a very similar scent profile, but what you get in here that you don't get in the Banana Republic is this super fine mist of citrus. The textural feel of that mistiness is like something that I haven't really come across very much in other fragrances. So there is that unique quality, and maybe they had to charge more to get that to happen here. I don't know. But it's incredible stuff. Feels like the sunshine kind of giving your skin a warm hug when you put this on. It is like a warm fragrance, which is interesting because, you know, in the high heat and the humidity and the type of weather that I have here in the Midwest in June, like a warm fragrance almost doesn't make sense, but this just hits all the right notes and was one of my most worn, I believe, this month of June. This is Byredo's Bal de Freak. Kind of a little bit of a tropical fruity vibe in here as well. So like tropical fruits, fine mist of citrus, and a clean, fresh laundry vetiver. Beautiful stuff, and I got mine on Aura Fragrance for like $180, and that was like the best price that I could find. Like I said, it's a little bit overpriced for being so simple, but if you had to have, like, if you're not like a frag head and you were just picking up a few fragrances, this one is definitely one to check out. And then I thought I had all 10 mentioned, but I don't think I brought this one up yet. This is Philosykos from Diptyque. This is probably my favorite fig fragrance. It does have it overlaps in its scent profile with a few others in my collection, like Un Jardin and Mediterranean from Hermes. That one is a little bit more aquatic than this. This has a really nice, creamy, sweet coconut, and then like all the parts of a fig leaf, the tree, the leaves, the fruit, the wood, and it just comes off super refreshing and creamy at the same time. Really beautiful, mouth-watering kind of creamy coconut fig. Awesome stuff. And I think you can also find these 50 mLs for under $100 from this fragrance as well, which, you know, so you've got all three of these. Even though they're niche, you can get them for a fairly affordable price in the 50 ml bottle size. So that is my top 10 picks for the month of June 2023. Let me know what your most worn fragrances were this month. Let me know if you've tried any of these, and let me know if there's any others I should check out for June 2024. And as always, I really appreciate you guys sticking with me to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.